So, as writing teachers, there are so many skills that we have to cover, right? To the point of where we almost feel like we have to prioritize them in order to fit them all into our schedule. What I noticed was after I got published with my children's books, there was one particular skill that I feel like doesn't get nearly enough attention. And it's so important when you're trying to get published. So, I revamped my wheel of priority, and this skill is actually now number 2. It's right after voice. That's how important it is. So what skill is it? Let's get started. Okay, so do you see what I did there? Kind of led you on a little bit. So I'm not going to beat around the bush here. The skill is writing a hook. And we often talk about writing hooks when we start to do our essays. It could be narrative essay. It could be a lit essay. It could be persuasive, whatever. You got to have a hook, right? Well, the amount of time that we spend is just a small amount of time at the beginning of trying to teach this essay of like, oh yeah, by the way, make sure that it's really interesting to your reader. Well, what I do is I use that concept of hook, but we do it in everything that we do. So we do it in our essays, but we also do it in our creative writing, has to start with a hook. We also do it in our weekly constructed response paragraphs that we do, which I'll get into later as well, how I handle that. But they're doing the race strategy, but they are also adding another layer to it, which is writing a hook to that short response. And it makes the writing so much more sophisticated. And the importance of a hook is that, the reason why we write them is so that other people want to read our writing. And isn't that the most important thing? Is that we're writing things that other people really, really want to read, right? Read, right? So with hooks, there's a particular way that I go through it and teach it with them. And I'm going to show you on my screen, I'm going to show you some examples of some writing that my students did. And then I'm going to go through like my first lesson and show you a couple of more things that I do. And what this will do is going to help you have writing, like your students are no longer going to be starting their stories with once upon a time, or hi, my name is Mary, and I'm going to tell you about a time that I went here and here, or starting their essays with a rhetorical question, which drives me bananas. And finally, I found a way to get around that. And I'm going to give you 2 tips, things you can start to do tomorrow, or it's summertime, maybe right now in the fall, so that you can get them writing hooks in a really, really easy way. So let's go to my screen and I'll show you what I have. Okay. So what I want to show you is some student examples so you can kind of see what my students came up with. And then I'll show you what the 2 tips are, these rules that I gave them and how they produced these results. I'm going to move this to slideshow so it's a little bit bigger for you. Now, this was a narrative at the beginning of the year. This is my 8th grade class. And this student wrote the first line here, I love. The drive was a dangerous one, or at least that's how it felt to watch the winding, steeply climbing road ahead of us. And she goes on there to describe that scene. And I love the last line too. If you had a fear of heights, this drive would be your worst nightmare. Now, this particular, I was just so proud of this. I had them writing about a time that they had a feeling they were scared, they were happy, they were sad, or whatever, and tell us about it in your narrative. And a lot of times we get sort of like these travel logs where they'll just say, I went to Disneyland and I rode on this ride and then I went on that ride and then I ate this and then I ate that and it was super cool and I loved it in the end. And so this starts to like shift them into thinking in a different way as to how they're going to tell this story. So this particular one, she was just telling us about a trip to Sequoia National Park. I love that. So we do it in our essays. We also did it with poetry. The one on the left there says, the time is 9 o'clock, the time the owner is selling her young ones. Small, beautiful blue eyes and brown white fur, perfect for the winter weather. I'm going to reveal for you in a second what these were about. And then on the right, he started with, I am envious green, impatient for what dawn brings. And then as you go through to the bottom here of this first stanza, it says, soon I am led down to the path of destruction. Let me show you what these poems were about. The one on the left is about just getting a puppy. And then the other one on the right is about money. So they could do a poem about an idea or something. And I was just so impressed with how they really reeled their reader in here. I just loved it. I want to show you some other stuff. We use it with lit essays. So take a look at this hook. He wrote, on your way home, you skip with excitement because it's your birthday tomorrow. You go to bed and wake up in the morning, face gleaming and teeth shining, your mind exuberant. You run downstairs waiting for your father to come home with a present. Do you know what book this is from? This is an essay. It's an analysis essay from Anne Frank. So he opened it with connecting the reader to that feeling of getting a birthday gift. If you've read Anne Frank, you know that was the opening scene there when she got Kitty her diary. We also do this during writer's workshop when they're doing creative writing. It's a little bit blurry, but over here on the left, it says, Tio never brought home the groceries that day, just a bottle of juice in a damp paper bag. I love that one. Let's see, the next one. Anastasia let her bare feet sink into the lush green ground of the forest around her, with her long chocolate brown hair flowing in the wind. Oh, I love that one too. And look at this one on the right. My footsteps echoed through the void, each step getting heavier. And I love the one over here on the bottom last because I wanted to point out something. This particular student that I'm going to show you, he hated to write. He wouldn't do his essays when we had the narrative one that we did at the beginning of the year. He didn't want to do it because he doesn't like writing about his own life. He's got a lot of chaos and stuff in his life. And so he just kind of put his foot down and wouldn't write at all until we started doing the workshop where we did the genre writing. And then I gave him the other choices that I talk about. It's in my guidebook and I'll put links below of how I set up all their choices. But I want to show you, this is what this boy who is not much of a writer, here's what he wrote. It's 2,537, however we say that, 2537. Heat was rising by the day. A 17-year-old boy named Shade sleeps. While he dreams of war and victory, a shadow demon-like figure appears in his dream. He says in a deep, loud voice, you are chosen. Now, there's grammatical mistakes. There's spelling. He doesn't have anything capitalized. But I loved it. And he loved it. And the other students did too. And it brought out in him something that I had not seen before. This was amazing. So here are your tricks. Here are the two things that I tell them. Number one, I want you to drop us into a scene. We're not going to just walk up to a scene. We're not going to saunter up to a scene. We're not going to say, oh, I'm on my way to my grandfather's house. You're going to drop us in there. You got to pick a spot to start and try and make it a really interesting place to start. And then number two, here's the really big one. Whatever your topic is, you cannot include that word in the first sentence. Just giving them that one little rule makes them stop and think, oh my gosh, I'm going to write a story about a puppy, but I can't use the word puppy in my first sentence. How am I going to do this? So you have to remember that, we're trying to teach, preteens, right? Or teenagers. And that is the hardest job in the world, which is trying to do all this with a 12 or 13-year-old mind. So we kind of have to use the brain to our advantage. So if we tell them these little rules like they do when they have games and stuff, right? Here's the rule. You can't use the word in the first sentence. It's a trick and it works. I do want to show you real quick how I use these two tricks in my own writing. So here is the latest book that I wrote called Confessions from the Principal's Kid. And I had to figure out how I'm going to start this story. It's kind of a personal story as well, because I am the daughter of the principal's kid. So I didn't want to start it with, hi, my name is, and my mom's the principal, and it's not really cool, and I don't like it, and wah, wah, wah. I needed to find a place to drop into this character's world, not walk up to it, but drop into it, and to not say principal or anything like that in the very first line. So here's what I came up with. This starts with a spitball. I wish I could say it starts with a bouquet of daisies or a beautiful sunset or even a really nice letter. It doesn't. It starts with a Jupiter-sized spitball stuck to the cafeteria floor, the one that was flung at the back of Graham Parker's head. He never saw it coming, but I did. So that's where I started it, with this scene in the cafeteria between her and this other character, which is really important there. Okay, so now I want to hop over here and show you how I do this as a lesson with my students. I'm going to change this to slideshow. I start off with a hook itself, which makes sense, right? So we talk about a statement that's kind of like, what are they talking about here? What could this possibly be? If this was the first line of an essay, what could it be about? And so we kind of list the possibilities there. And then as we get through it, we talk about the meaning of a hook. We're going to get to what that was about. Like, what was that hook for? I kind of lead them on for a little bit. And we go over the definition and why we do this. And this is one thing I want to show you is that I always tell them you don't go up to someone at a party and yell a thesis statement at them. So how are we going to do this so that our writing is interesting to them? We're chill, we're curious. How do we get their attention and be cool with it? Let me hop through here and show you what we do next as we get through some of these lessons here. So I give them 3 choices to start a hook at first. One is to do a bold statement, which is what I use mostly. The second, it could do a fact or a statistic. I think those can be interesting. And the third is just a vivid description. Now notice that I don't have rhetorical question in here as one of the options because I'm trying to steer them away from that, particularly once they get up into 5th, 6th grade. Doing a rhetorical question is like the path of least resistance. It's the easiest one, and that's why a lot of them do it. So we have to find a way to get their brains to think differently, to come up with some new solutions here. I do some matching with them, so I'm give them some hooks, and then they have to try and figure out what the topic is, so they match it there. And then we start the process of brainstorming. So the word water was actually the answer to that one. Without it, we could die. And so we start coming up with all these other opinions about water. And then we do word association, because if the rule is that if I'm doing an essay on water, but I can't use the word water in my first sentence, what are some possible things that I could talk about? So word association helps a lot with that. And then we start practicing. So I give them some examples of just with water, the bold statement, statistic, or description, and then they try 3 more on their own. And then they take it to the next level, and I give them different topics. And now they have to choose which kind of hook they want to do and try it for 3 different topics. And then I put a timer on there too. Then they take whatever their essay topic is, and they start practicing with it. Like, what could they come up with? Or even the essay that they might want to write in the future, come up with a few different hooks. Now we do hooks in lots of different ways. I mean, sometimes I even have a hook competition where very quick, I might do that for Writer's Workshop, is I'll put up a topic and they have to come up with a hook, and we do a quick vote and we pick a winner. We could do brackets, the whole thing, make it really fun. I do other things like we do a virtual gallery walk. And then I have hooks up on the walls. I have my books all around. I always pick up a book and say, let's read the first sentence together. Does it pull you in? What do you think? Where they're trying to rate and decide what hooks are the best. So using these tips and like these rules that I gave them, that's what created that really good writing. And then just doing this all year long so that they use this same skill for every type of writing, including those short answer questions, which I will get into later in another video about how I use this for the claim, evidence, reasoning type responses. And then my complete guidebook on how I run this whole workshop is all done. So you can go check that out, and I'll put the link below, and the link to all of these different activities as well will be below. So next time I'm going to be talking about sentence complexities. So make sure you check it out for that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.